Legacy Open in Seattle like 2 years ago with High Tide. Destroyed everyone in the Seattle top 8. Me and Peace were doing coverage there. She plays High Tide really fast and really well.
Yeah.
And then Hoey with Rug Delver, typically we see him doing it with Stoneforge Mystic. Now this seems like a pretty tough matchup for High Tide, though.
You think, because, you know, Rug Delver can kind of put a lot of pressure on you early on. But again, I don't think Feline doesn't have a lot of ways to kind of get exposed to mana screw like Wasteland. I mean, she's playing all islands. So if Matthew doesn't have a 1-drop to really put pressure on her right away, then I actually think High Tide's probably pretty reasonable in this matchup. A lot of the counter spells, again, are conditional. It's like Spell Snare really doesn't do that much. Daze, you can play around that. It's really Spell Pierce and Forcible are the main cards you have to concern yourself with.
So there are a couple of things I like about Feline's deck list. Number one, it's good handwriting.
Very good handwriting.
That's very important. Number two, next to every card, it says like what edition it is. So, for example, Brainstorm, it says F&M. Ponder, it says textless. So it's very clear for the judges, which is really sweet. That it also means that she cares about her deck a lot, and she does have a very nice High Tide deck. And three, I mean, it's High Tide, so you get to see, you know, the one turnabout, the Cunning Wish package. There are 4 Candelabra Otanos, 4 altered High Tides, all of that stuff. So this should be fun to watch her. I'm sure that, you know, the one thing, even though I think this is a pretty difficult matchup for Feline, you have to imagine that she has played this matchup a million times and knows what to do. It
is a hallmark thing. And I actually think that Matthew probably isn't as familiar, because High Tide, you don't see that many High Tide players in the tournament.
No.
And so it's not one of the marquee decks of the format, I'd say. So you're probably not testing against it very often.
Preordain's going to put some cards to the bottom. It's time to draw a card from the scry. And follow up with another cantrip. It's a Ponder. I don't know if Matthias Hunt is busy right now, but he's probably watching.
We watched her play in Nashville, and her and Matthias talked about this deck for like an hour afterwards.
They play mirrors together.
Yeah,
they do. They absolutely love it. Ponder going to shuffle away here. You know, the first couple of turns with High Tide are pretty simple. There's just a lot of cantripping that's going on with Ponder, Preordain, Brainstorm, stuff like that, and then you just build to one big turn. Hopefully your opponent can't do anything about it. There is a Spell Snare that will turn over the Delver into Insectile Aberration. You see Tarmogoyf sitting as a 2/3 land and sorcery in the graveyard.
Yeah, so Matthew got a really good start here. He has a 1-drop and a 2-drop, so he's able to put pressure on Feline, and the whole time he's basically just going to try to use what few permission spells he has to stop her. But the problem is that Spell Snare was one of the cards that we saw him draw. That card's not that relevant in this matchup.
One thing it does counter that's really important is Merchant Scroll.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. Taking a look here from Gitaxian Probe, there's a Fluster Storm, a Force of Will, a Cunning Wish, a couple other cards over there that Hoey's going to write down. He's going to take 2 to get the information, but the information is certainly important. Be able to draw another card as well. See if he can add any more cards to his graveyard to pump up the Tarmogoyf, but he's got a nice clock right now. At least 5 points of damage coming across this turn. Yeah,
but and the thing is, Feline's turn to really go off is 4. I think she's really comfortable going off in 5, but she can go off on 4 with this deck. So I think, you know, if she goes down to 14, 9, I think she's still in a reasonable shape. You know, whether or not Matthew's able to commit another threat to the board now, it looks like he does have a Tarmogoyf. That will accelerate the clock. So Matthew really has to be basically thinking, I have to try to put her on a 2-turn clock here, because I need to make sure that she doesn't get to turn 5. Because if you get to turn 5 against High Tide, they're pretty much winning.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how much permission. You need a lot of permission to stop them if they get to turn 5.
Looks like another Tarmogoyf might join the party, and it will. So 2, 2, 3 Tarmogoyfs. Longmore just kind of shrugs her shoulders. Whatever, that's in there. No Mongooses as well. That's fine. Longmore's at 14. Hoey won't be able to kill her next turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, so she will get to 4. It looks like right now, short of some sort of burn spell.
There's a Ponder.
And again, she can go off on 4. That's kind of the turn for High Tide.
Needs to find High Tide. Hasn't done that yet. Take a draw.
And if she has a Merchant Scroll, she can cast it now. And
ding.
Yep, he tapped out. She knows about the Spell Snare, but he doesn't have any blue mana up.
You have a Daze.
Wow, nope. So pretty fortunate there.
Yeah, I mean, gotta go grab High Tide, I think.
But I don't know. I think casting that Nimble Mongoose, it doesn't accelerate his clock, and he wasn't able to Spell Snare that Merchant Scroll.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to regret playing that Nimble Mongoose, because he's nowhere near threshold, and the difference between 7 and 8 in this situation doesn't really matter.
Oh, you're gonna take a draw. You mentioned Spell Snare. He also has a Spell Pierce, and he just drew a land for the turn.
Yeah, I think he's really going to regret committing that Nimble Mongoose to the board, because the value of having Nimble Mongoose to the board compared to being able to counterspell a spell is much different.
I have to agree. I do.
So Feline's now going to get her 4th turn, and she does have that High Tide. And all she has to do is really fight through 1 Spell Pierce.
It's it's go time because she has no choice.
Yeah.
So now it's time to attempt. There's the land drop for the turn. It's an island.
Yeah, she has to go off this turn. Unless she has a turnabout or something and wants to just tap everything down on match turn. But I'm with you. I think she has to try to go off this turn.
Turnabout's just a 1-of in her deck. So
whether or not she can, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I can't really make out the other cards. It looks like there are going to be 2 Cunning Wish.
Yeah, it's two Cunning Wish, 2 Fluster Storm, a Forceful, and a High Tide. It's not going to be easy. If anyone can figure it out, it's certainly her, because she plays this deck every single week and has won an open with it. But I think it's going to be pretty tough. She's also probably trying to figure out what can I go off through.
Yeah. So, yep, we're going to see High Tide get cast first.
Yeah, and this is going to be a Spell Pierce, which doesn't come as much of a surprise. I think you have to Forceful removing a Fluster Storm here. Maybe a Wish. All right. Maybe not a Wish.
Yeah,
it's going to be Fluster Storm, sure. She's going to go down to 5. So now access to 6 blue mana.
Does she have Time Spiral?
That'd be a really good draw if that was the case.
Yeah, I think she's going to need a Time Spiral or maybe, yeah, so she has 6 mana floating here. We're going to see a Cunning Wish.
With 3 left.
Not sure what she can get for here.
The Wish targets get interesting. I mean, can't
Snap.
cast.
Snap is a good one.
Snap is a good one. That's pretty adorable, actually.
Still only get her net her 5 mana, though, after all is said and done.
Yeah.
And again, that can get countered by Spell Snare, which she knows about.
Yeah, it's true. That's so true.
Yeah, the Spell Snare was revealed from the Delver, so she has to know about it. She knows.
Yeah, she knows she can't win. Okay, so they're going to concede the game. Matt Hoey's going to win game number 1 here over Feline Longmore. Rug Delver up over High Tide. Makes you wonder if Hoey knows this matchup all that well, because again, there's not that many High Tide players out there.
The fact that he played that Nimble Mongoose makes me think he doesn't, because again, it's just math. The difference between 7 and 8 is irrelevant, and the ability to Spell Snare a Merchant Scroll is huge there. You know, obviously Spell Snare is not that great. You're not going to get that much value out of it, but he also had a Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that kind of gives me a signal that maybe he doesn't know that much about this particular matchup. But then again, I mean, it doesn't really, you don't need to know everything as long if you get a permission heavy hand in this matchup. And after board, he gets access to Pyroblast, he gets access to Fluster Storm. So he has plenty of options here after board to kind of boost up his spell count, his counter spell count.
The sideboard here for Longmore is actually really, really interesting. It's not something I've seen before, but I don't proclaim to be a High Tide aficionado. There's, of course, the Cunning Wish targets. You've got a Blue Sun Zenith, a Brain Freeze, an Intuition, a Turnabout, a Rebuild, a Snap, a couple copies of Wipe Away to work through Counterbalance, a Fluster Storm, Impact Negation, and a Surgical Extraction. And then there's 4 other cards, which are Counterbalance, because she has 3 tops in her main deck, or excuse me, 4 tops in her main deck. So she can shift into a Counterbalance top deck. It's actually relatively easier for her to find them because of Brainstorm, Ponder, and Preordain, 4, 4, and 3. And then once she actually assemble that combo against Rug Delver, it's very hard for him to break out of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the game plan after sideboard.
Yeah, because look at the cards that I mentioned. They're all 1 mana counter spells. So obviously countering a Fluster Storm is not as relevant, but Pyroblast, very good. Spell Pierce can get countered. Spell Snare gets countered by a 1. Even a turn 2 Counterbalance can really put pressure on them because you can counter their Ponders, you can counter their Brainstorms, you can counter Gataxian Probes, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Nimble Mongoose, Delver Secrets. Like, Rug Delver can have a very hard time against Counterbalance.
Yeah. I definitely agree, and I actually am very interested in this sideboard plan, how it's going to end up working out. It's one I've never seen employed before from High Tide. Of course, we don't see High Tide that much at events and on camera, so I mean, this could be the industry standard at this point. I know that when we watched Chilbert play in Dallas a couple months back, that's not something we actually saw from his sideboard that weekend. So I wonder if Longmore's able to catch Hoey off guard here with this.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because the last time I can think of somebody boarding, like a combo deck boarding into like a counterbalance deck was Steve Sadin when he was playing that
I knew you were going to
Protean
talk about Flash.
Deck.
Yeah.
That Flash Hulk deck. That was probably one of the better combo decks ever built. I mean, I think he wins Grand Prix, I want to say Providence.
Nope, try again. I know what
Columbus?
it was. Yes, sir.
Grand Prix Columbus.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Legacy Grand Prix back in the day, Protean Flash Hulk was one of the more busted combo decks ever made. You basically just cast Flash. You put a Protean Hulk into play, it dies, and then you search out this combo that kills him. He actually boarded into Kyrian Dryads and counterbalances in the mirror. And it was a really, really unbelievably good sideboard strategy developed by Billy Moreno. And one of the more impressive sideboard strategies. So Feline here looks like she has to mulligan to 6.
Yeah,
and,
so will Hoey with a
so
couple
will
of
Hoey.
wastelands. Pop quiz. Who did Satan beat in the finals of that tournament?
Oh, wow. Is it Tomohiro Saito?
No, try again. I'll give you one more guess. First one doesn't count.
Oh, jeez.
He's really good now.
Tom
Really
Martell.
good. The answer is Owen Turnwald.
Really? He beat Owen in the finals?
Yep.
What was Owen playing?
Goblins.
Oh, Owen must have been terrible back then. I do remember that back in the day, Owen used to play pretty bad decks.
He destroyed everyone.
Like for Pro Tour
Goblins.
San Juan, before he hooked up with all his teammates, he actually asked me for a deck, and I was like, yeah, I'm playing Mono Red Burn.
Yep.
I'm playing Mono Red.
Yep.
And he just got annihilated, and
Yep.
he's like, yeah, I'm never playing Mono Red again. Wow.
Back in the day, a
Goblins.
young Owen Turnwald. That was like, I think that tournament was in 2006. Owen
Yeah.
Turnwald playing Goblins. Not only that, but he was playing Goblins in the Flash Grand Prix
Yeah.
and lost in the finals.
Flash got emergency banned after that Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It was arguably one of the best combo decks ever made, and you're playing Goblins. The fact that he made the finals is pretty impressive.
Yeah. He beat Satan in that tournament, too. He beat
Wow.
him in the Swiss and lost him in the finals. Both players mulliganing down to 5 here. Yeah.
And honestly, if you're Feline, I think you're okay with that. Just because you have more ways to
Yeah.
set up your hand. And obviously, you just need counterbalance top.
Yeah, I mean, you can mulligan to that combination of cards and probably win. I think that Rug Delver doesn't mind taking mulligans to 5 because they don't need a lot of lands and stuff to operate with.
The thing is, the Rug Delver can't. There's not that many cards that Rug Delver can board in this matchup. So he's gonna have Lightning Bolt still in his deck.
She either hits someone or something. She's very apologetic. Are one of our cameras broken? They look fine.
Yeah, they look fine.
High five time, bang. This is what Magic's all about. This is just a friendly match right here.
Friendly match.
This is the happiest I've ever seen two people mulligan to 5 in my life.
Yeah.
Never seen anyone this happy. Oh, this hand, that's too forcible as a high tide, a ponder, and a cunning wish. That's another no-lander.
Wow.
Hoey?
Yeah.
Wow, tough guy, keeping 5.
Keep it 5 against 4. Nice job.
Look, all we ask is when you come to the feature match area, just not to break our stuff.
Yes. Just
That's
please
all.
don't break the cameras. Don't make fun of the judges.
Yeah, they're expensive. We invested in new cameras in the off-season over Christmas. We would just like to keep them nice. Our video director in-house, Jeremy Nola, is probably losing his mind right now. The cameras may be broken.
So turn 1 ponder, it looks like she does have a counterspell, and now she reveals a forcible. So she has a counterbalance rather. So she can go turn 2 counterbalance. And
hope-
Force will back up
Hope
potentially.
for blind flips.
Yeah. Well, the way she sets it up. Oh no, she has to get the polluted delta. So,
Yeah.
yeah, blind flips, whatever. You gotta get a little lucky on 4.
I mean, this is definitely true. Take a draw. Pass the turn back. Hoey will take a draw here. Picks up a Scalding Tarn. Already had one, so 2 lands available to him.
His hand's not that good either. I mean, he's got Delver Tarmogoyf, but just and a Lightning Bolt, but not really much to interact with Feline. Yeah, if you're Feline here, do you just force a will this Delver Secrets?
Maybe.
I mean, you don't know about the Tarmogoyf. You just don't want to lose to. You want to just try to hope to get the counterbalanced lucky plan, maybe? I don't know. But nope, looks like she's going to let it resolve.
Longmore going to take a draw. There's the Delta. Going to try to drop the counterbalance is the question. Looks like no. Looks like it's just going to be a ponder. 2, 3.
And this is going to be tough here because if Matthew does drop a Goyf, then she's pretty much forced to counter it.
Delta going to get sacrificed. Longmore going to go down to 19. Get an island, of course. No non-basics here. Just a couple of fetch lands to make those brainstorms and ponders better.
She does have a Cunning Wish. That can help her find an Intuition. And now she's got the top.
Yeah, waiting for it to get dazed, but it's going to resolve. Hoey going to draw a card for the turn. Delver not flipping.
I don't believe she has. Yeah, she has 2 cards left in her hand. So if she wants to counter anything with Force of Will, she's going to have to pitch a counterbalance. So I'm not sure she's going to want to do that. Let's see here what happens. Matthew just has an unflipped Delver Secrets. Tarmogoyf's going to come down. Tarmogoyf's going to be just a 2/3, I believe.
You might have to try to counter it, though. And just hope that the Delver never flips. Assuming that the hand
Oh.
is... It's counterbalance
Oh,
and
no,
wish.
so
Yeah,
she-
so
yeah,
she didn't keep the force.
She didn't keep the Force.
Yeah. Obviously, what she was hoping for is that, on a mulligan to 5, maybe Hoey's hand isn't that good or just isn't able to put that much pressure on or has to waste the first couple of turns cantripping. And that is obviously not the case because the counterbalance lock is now too slow.
Yeah. Counterbalance lock. Matt just doesn't care. He's like, all right, well, whatever. I'm potentially going to have 5 points of damage. Plus, he has a lightning bolt in his hand, too, so that the sorcery in the graveyard he doesn't have any instance. So Tarmogoyf will be a 3/4. So he's potentially 6, which is the 3-turn clock.
Yeah, Ponder's going to flip that Delver Secrets into an insectile aberration, excuse me. And even if the lightning bolt does get countered by top going back on top of the deck, it's still going to be in the graveyard, so Tarmogoyf gets a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and I think that's all Matt really cares about. He wants to make the clock a 3-turn clock, not a 4-turn clock.
I think, too, is Matt can probably make it so that the lightning bolt does resolve. He can leave with the Ponder, which can force the action from Feline.
Yep.
To actually want to activate the top, and with the tapping and the draw on, he can bolt if he wants to speed things up. We're actually going to put the counterbalance trigger on the stack and see how Feline wants to stack this here. I'm just going to reveal it random. It's a Sensei's Divine top. Well, you did it.
All right, so there goes the lightning bolt plan.
Yeah. And I mean, he doesn't even have to fire it off. Like, he's still doing just fine.
He's still fine.
So they're going to attack for 5. Longmore's going to go down to 13. There's a Scalding Turn from Hoey. And is there any way Longmore can get back in this? Draws the top, which he knows about. If there's just some way, if she can get those creatures off the table somehow.
I'm actually surprised she didn't top on her upkeep to kind of get a land.
Yeah, to try to work her way towards the Cunning Wish or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really sure what drawing a top there does for you. Now you have to try to do another blind flip.
Little Mongoose, little spin action. There's a Merchant Scroll among the other cards there.
Yeah, think how good this would have been if she was able to draw a land and keep the top on top of her library and not have to worry about anything. And then she could top again to draw a Merchant Scroll next turn or another land.
Draw a card. Just Hoey want to respond. Yeah, because the draw's on the stack now. And yeah, this is where if you're Hoey, yeah, I want to fire up the bolt now because I know you don't have a 1 because that's why you're drawing a card. So bolt you.
It'd be great if it was a 1-drop. And she was like, oh, I did have a 1-drop. I was just joking.
I mean, that's the kind of things it's going to take on a mulligan to 4. Bolt's going to resolve. Longmore goes down to 10. Tarmogoyf should be at 3/4 now. Counter that. It's actually going to move into a 4/5 because there's a creature in the graveyard.
Yep, so now Feline will be dead next turn.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick high tide match.
Yeah, all things considered. She's at 3 right now, so. And she has 2 lands. Yeah, and the artist just knocked her deck over and going to concede the game. So Matt Hoey is going to win this match 2-0 over Feline Longmore. Mulligan of 4 will certainly do you in. Rug Delver moves on to 6-0, taking down a fantastic high tide player. We're going to bring it back to us here really quick.